name of God, our Creator, our Redeemer, and our Sustainer. Amen. Well, this week, I don't know if you saw it, but a fellow named Christopher John Kalish, a 62-year-old attorney from the United States, became the 11th person to die on Mount Everest. And as they showed shots of Mount Everest and of this event, it showed a line of people waiting to summit. It looked like they were lining up for the Matterhorn at Disneyland. You had to sort of wonder at the wisdom of this, because Mount Everest is 29,000 feet high. That's 8,000 meters. And physicians tell us that when you get into 26,000 feet, you are in the death zone. And even with supplemental oxygen, your brain begins to suffer edema. And so Christopher John Kalish managed the summit and died. There seems to be a desire to ascend to things in this world. In Los Angeles, a couple of years ago, we had a fellow who strapped himself to his lounge chair and arranged a party set of helium balloons above the lounge chair and floated up to 20,000 feet, disrupting air traffic above LAX. He had brought with him a BB gun, and so he took out discreetly the helium balloons and made a safe descent to his arrest. In imitation to him, a Brazilian Catholic priest named Antonio de Carli decided, near the Feast of the Ascension, to inspire his flock. So he donned a flight suit, tied himself into a lawn chair, arranged a similar composition of party balloons, and floated up. His desire was to remain aloft for 19 hours and then to return symbolically to a town 250 miles away. Instead, he floated out over the Atlantic and has not been seen since. So, Luke gives us superb poetry today in the story of the Ascension. You will only find Luke writing about the Ascension in all of the New Testament, but I would submit to you that he is not offering us a case that we try to reenact. This is not a reenactable event. He's giving us a great story. Frederick Buechner, who wrote Theological ABCs, wrote this about the Ascension. He said, if you look at a piece of glass, you will see dirt and dust and flecks of insects and probably a crack where Junior's Frisbee has gone awry. But if you look through the glass, then you will see the wide world beyond. He says the purpose of the Ascension is not to stare at the poetry, it's to look through the poetry to what is being said to us about the nature of Jesus and indeed our continuing mission in the world. We see this because in our reading today from the Gospel, Luke places the Ascension on Easter Day. But in his next book, the book of Acts, he places the Ascension 40 days after Easter Day. 40 is an important number. How many days did it rain on poor Noah? 40 days and 40 nights. When spies were sent into Canaan to see if it was time for the invasion, they spied out Canaan for 40 days. Goliath taunted the Israelites for 40 days until David pinged him with his slingshot and he fell over. Ezekiel lay naked on his right side in the center of Jerusalem. Oh, the joys of being a prophet. For 40 days. Moses, at age 40, killed an Egyptian. 40 years later, he met God on Mount Sinai. 40 years after that, he died and was not permitted to enter the promised land. Saul, David, Solomon, great kings of Israel, all reigned for 40 years. And Jesus was tempted in the desert for how many days? For 40 days. So either God really likes the number 40, or something symbolic is going on here. Now, it just so happens that the lunar cycle on which the Hebrew calendar is based is 30 days. So one of the meanings of 40 is to say a really long time. It's to say, in God's good time, in God's own good time, not your time, in God's good time, something is going to happen. God will insert God's self in your life in ways that are helpful and rescuing. Now, we also find perhaps some symbolism, I don't know for sure, in that Luke is writing to Theophilus, which Joe pronounced very well today, don't you think? A gold star from the Sunday school teachers. Theophilus means lover of God. So Luke might actually have been writing to one man named Theophilus, or Theophilus might be a stand-in for all of us who are striving to love God and to understand the ways of Jesus who reveals God to us. But as he's writing to Theophilus, he talks about how Jesus appeared after his resurrection for 40 days, perhaps indicating that Jesus also appears in our lives, since 40 days is symbolic of a very long time. And he tells them that he's going to send them an advocate. And at the end of 40 days, Jesus is gathered into a cloud. And we have met this cloud before. It is the same cloud, that pillar of cloud that led the Israelites through the wilderness as they escaped from the Egyptians and headed to their new promised land in Canaan. It is the Shekinah glory, the cloud that filled the temple. It is the cloud that enveloped Jesus when he meets with Elijah and with Moses on the Mount of Transfiguration. We have seen this cloud before. And when Jesus enters the cloud, it is the cloud of the glory of God that is being entered. So the Ascension is the reversal of the Incarnation. In the Incarnation, God comes in the form of Jesus and lives among us, tabernacles among us. In the Ascension, humanity is taken into the cloud of glory, taken back into God. The Eastern Orthodox Church calls this the moment of our divinization, when we begin to take on the attributes of God, at least potentially. Just as you stick an iron poker into a hot fire, a wooden fire, and leave it there for 20 minutes and pull it out, that iron poker will be glowing orange. It will take on the attributes of God. And now, because of the Ascension, it is possible for us to take on the attributes of God. Maybe not all at once. For some, it's going to take 40 days. Joe's going to need another 40 years. We now can take on the attributes of God in our lives. Indeed, this is our vocation. Christ had to go so that the Spirit could come and animate us for our vocations to continue Christ's work in the world. Men of Galilee, why are you gazing up into heaven? It makes incongruous the graphic that I chose for your bulletin cover today, and also all of those altar pieces of the Ascension that show everybody standing around doing exactly what the men in white told them not to do, staring into heaven. It may be that Luke was trying to offer a corrective. Because during Jesus' ministry, people wanted to know when the kingdom was going to come. And after Jesus' resurrection, people wanted to know when Jesus was coming back. And what Luke is saying is, that's not your concern. It's going to be 40 days. It's going to be 40 years. Your concern is to put your hands to the plow and get to the ministry that continues in you by virtue of the advocate, the spirit of power, your work to do the work of Jesus in this world. It's like cracking a whip. It is superfluous to wonder about the date of Jesus' return, or to be overmuch concerned about the contours of the celestial realm. You have to put your hands to the plow here and now. Those who understand turn their gaze from heaven back to the earth, so that they can be of some earthly usefulness to God here and now. And so in Ephesians we are told that as we come more and more to know God, that God will manifest in our hearts with light and with wisdom and understanding and insight for the work that has given us in our day. Back in the 5th century, when their popes were still a new thing, and they were holy men by and large. Back in the 5th century, Pope Leo said, "Our Lord ascended into the sacraments." And those who consume the sacraments, Jesus ascends into us for the work of the ministry that has been committed into our care. So I believe that is the message of the Ascension. I suggest you don't line up for the Everest Matterhorn, that you don't strap into a lawn chair under 40 party balloons, even if you've got a BB gun. You may not even want to get into one of those baskets that lifts off from the dance floor at Aqua every morning. Instead, realize that you have been sacramentalized and that the world needs the sacramental presence which only you reveal, which is revealed in the people, the body of Christ, the church. Amen.
You